Okay, we're starting on Kuf Yud Gimel. Kuf Yud Gimel, 113. 113b. We're going to start from V'savar Shmuel Isser Chalal Isser. That's, I guess it's 7 lines up from the wide lines. So in the skinny lines, 7 lines up. So V'savar Shmuel. Okay. So what we learned before was that it said Leisavashal Gadi B'chalevimai 3 times. So for the words B'chalevimai we learned 3 things. What type of milk is considered prohibited and needs to be chalev, mother's milk, not chalev shchuta, not milk that was found in an animal after it was shechted, not chalev zachar. It can't be milk that came from a male animal, which was some sort of anomaly that happened, and it can't be milk from a non-kosher animal.
Like Mordecai.
Yeah, so it was something like that. And then that he very good, that he raised Esther. Okay, there's always a connection. And then we learned 6 things from Leisavashal Gadi. And the Gemara asked, how do you learn 6 things from Leisavashal Gadi? It only says three things. So we went through getting rid of some of them, saying that we know those anyway. Okay, the 6 things were chelev and nevela. Chelev, nevela. Okay, so again, not to cook milk with chelev, not to cook milk with nevela, that's meat that's not shechted, not to cook milk with a fetus, even though a fetus that's found in the animal, there's many leniencies about it, about shechita and different things, but not regarding basar b'chalav. Not to cook milk with blood is not a problem. That's lahaitzi. Some are Rabbi, some are lahaitzi. That blood is not a problem. The placenta is not a problem, and a non-kosher animal is not a problem to cook. So we had 6 things. We had to diminish those and get it down to less than that. This was Josh, yeah. Josh Green. He brought a Gemara.
No, he's here today.
His Gemara said. Okay. So the way we got rid of the nevela and chelev from being used, from using the pasuk Gedi to teach me that you're not allowed to cook chelev with milk, and you're not allowed to cook nevela with milk. The way we got rid of that, we said that they're both from one pasuk. Because Isser Chalal Isser. These 2 items, chelev and nevela, these were prohibited before you cooked it. Comes along basar b'chalav and is chal, takes effect on top of the prior prohibition of chelev and nevela. So once I say that, I only need 1 pasuk. That tells me both. Isser Chalal Isser. 1 pasuk would tell me Isser Chalal Isser, and then both get included. Okay. V'savar Shmuel Isser Chalal Isser. Does Shmuel hold Isser Chalal Isser, that 1 prohibition is stacked on another prohibition, and you can just add it up, and now you have the second prohibition it takes effect. But usually we wouldn't say that. Usually would say only the original prohibition is there, and the second one doesn't go on top. It's already prohibited. V'amar Shmuel. Shmuel says, Mishum, it's supposed to be Rabbi Eliezer. In the name of Rabbi Eliezer, that's Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. Shmuel is very far from Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus. Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkanus is up here on the Tanoim chart. He's a student of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Shmuel, several hundred years later, is on the beginning of the Amiroim. And he's saying in his name, it says Mishum, that means that he didn't hear it directly. So we didn't hear it directly. He says it in his name. Okay. He says in his name, Minayin l'kayin tami shachal truma tameya. Sheina b'misa. How do we know that a kayin that's tummy, that eats truma, that's also tummy? Okay, so there's 2 halachas here. You're not allowed to eat truma tameya. Even if the kohen's pure, you can't eat truma tameya. You're not allowed to eat truma tameya. Why? Truma tameya is truma. That means the not the tithe, but the separation that's taken. 1 out of 50 is the average or 1 out of 40 for the generous, and 1 out of 60 for the stingy. You have to take that from the grain and give it to the kohen. So, but it's considered holy. No one else can eat it, only the kohen. If it becomes impure, then the kohen is not allowed to eat it. Now, how do we know that the kohen is not allowed to eat it if that is impure? Now, the kohen is only not allowed to become impure for when he's doing service, whatever. That's not the issue here. The issue is that we have a pasuk that says that when it comes to psulei hamikdashim, karbanos they get a blemish, and you redeem them, and you with that money you buy other karbanos or whatever. It says that those karbanos, they could be eaten in impurity, and the Gemara learns from that they could be eaten in impurity, but truma is not allowed to be eaten when it's impure. So it's called a lav haba mechlal aseh. It's a negative commandment that comes out of a positive commandment. I have a positive commandment that I have a positive law that I'm allowed to eat psulei hamikdashim even if it's tamei. Sacrifices that have got a blemish that were redeemed, I'm allowed to. It's not a sacrifice anymore. I can eat it even if it's tamei, but that excludes truma. Truma I'm not allowed to eat if it's tamei, if the truma is tamei. So that's one prohibition. Comes along a kohen, and a kohen that's tamei is not allowed to eat any truma. Now that's a clear negative prohibition, very strict. It has the rule of misa b'dei shemayim. If you eat a kohen that has tumas aguf, his body is impure, and he goes ahead and he eats truma, so he has that this other negative prohibition. Here we have the kohen that's tamei, that's eating truma that's tamei. The truma that's tamei already had a positive prohibition, a negative prohibition that came out of the positive of lav haba mechlal aseh. You're not allowed to eat it. This kohen gets tamei. Now he has a second prohibition that goes on, and this second prohibition happens to be a little stricter because it's misa. So Shmuel says in the name of Rabbi Lezer, how do we know that a kohen that's tamei, that he eats truma that's tamei, that he doesn't get misa? Because the first prohibition that's on it is the main one. I'm on 113b. 113b. Why is that far back?
Okay.
Shenemar, it says in the pasuk, "Umesu by kiyechaluhu, prat lezu shemechalalos v'medas," that he will die because he profaned it. This is excluding this which was already profaned beforehand. When is there misa? B'dei shemayim, death penalty from heaven. If a kohen profanes the truma by eating it when the kohen is tamei, but this was already tamei, so he doesn't get it. Okay, now what are we seeing? That a second prohibition cannot be stacked on a first prohibition. That ein iser chal al iser. We're not saying tumas aguf, the impurity of the body, is applied to this truma.
How would we know from this which is first and which is second?
Oh well, it's an interesting point.
They both have this same, what do you call it, punishment?
No.
So why isn't it coming with the Rabbi?
No, we're not. Kamei b'dramine is when you have two actions. It's a little different. Kamei b'dramine.
Because the person is doing it. He's comfortable. Probably eats the food.
Yeah, but then if he comes first, then that's going to be that's a problem. We're looking to say that the food was tamei first, and the person's tumah doesn't. I'll tell you why. Because the food has the intrinsic prohibition on it that this cannot be eaten. His prohibition of eating it only happens when he actually eats it, because he has a prohibition not to eat it. That happens when he eats it. So, but the prohibition not to eat this in the food itself, that was there earlier. When he goes ahead and eats it, then the second prohibition goes on it. I know there is another way of looking at it. You can say that all truma is forbidden for this person to eat whenever he became tamei, and then you would have to use that time. But that's a valid point. But for whatever reason, the Gemara is viewing it as okay. So we have a problem because we said Shmuel holds Isser Chalal Isser, that you can stack one prohibition on top of another one and superimpose one prohibition on top of another one. And here we say that Shmuel says in the name of Rabbi Eliezer that you don't put one prohibition on top of another one, only the original prohibition is there. The Gemara gives three options. Iba Yasem, if you want, you can say Bi'alma Isser Chalal Isser. Shmuel holds Isser Chalal Isser. Shani Hasam, but there it's different. There's a pasuk. T'miyet Rachmano Mesubai. The pasuk says Mesubai that you will die from this, but not from this will cause the death, but not something else. That means only in the case where the kayan was tamei and the food was tahar. In other words, this is exempt from Isser Chalal Isser. This is usually we say Isser Chalal Isser. Here the pasuk says don't say Isser Chalal Isser. Iba Yasema, if you want, you could say the opposite. Ba'alma K'zav Shmuel Ein Isser Chalal Isser. Really, we say that Shmuel doesn't hold of Isser Chalal Isser. V'shani Hacha. Here it's different. The Rabbi Rachman Gedi. Pasuk says Gedi. And Gedi teaches me, the extra Gedi teaches me, that even if it's chaylev, even if it's nevela, you're not allowed to cook it with milk. That means that even though it was prohibited before, the prohibition of cooking it with milk goes on this, and we are going to say Isser Chalal Isser in these cases, even though we normally don't say Isser Chalal Isser. Those are opposite answers. By the same, if you want, we could say Hadidei Hadarabi. Shmuel has his own opinion. He was quoting Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. That's Rabbi Eliezer opinion. The name of Rabbi Eliezer. It's an easy answer. He doesn't hold of it. He was just saying what Rabbi Eliezer says. If he would have waited around, we would have heard the end of it. That Shmuel says, I don't agree with that. But meanwhile, we quoted Shmuel quoting his teacher, and it got passed. It's supposed to be Mirava. Ravachtavei bar Ami asks of Rava, Hamabashal b'cholav gedi shlei hinika mahu. Hamabashal b'cholav gedi shlei hinika. No, it's Hamabashal b'cholav gedi shlei hinika. If you take milk from an animal that never gave birth, what's it called? There's a milk before it gives birth, a very thick colostrum.
Colostrum.
It has colostrum, but it never had a child yet. So it says b'chalev imay.
It could have had a child, it just isn't bringing out the
No, but
milk.
here we're saying that it's not, we're taking milk, and it's mother's milk. This is not even a mother. Never had a child yet.
Didn't have a child, or was never weaned from.
No, it doesn't have a child yet. Didn't have a child. We're trying to explain how there's milk there.
Yeah, I don't understand how that's possible.
Oh, because before the child comes out, before the calf comes out, or the kid comes out, before the kid comes out, there's already some milk. So we get the milk from the mother, but it's not really a mother yet because it never had a child.
But the mother's pregnant.
It's pregnant. So, but it's not considered. You see, the fatherhood starts from conception, but motherhood only starts from birth. Halachically, that's Yaakov and Esav. That's all the Torahs over there. So,
didn't we earlier give an example of a father who had galactorrhea, some milk from his? Why isn't? What was the answer there? You couldn't do it, right?
Very good, very good, excellent. The Gemara is gonna say that. So here we're saying, but it's not a mother. So Amarlei, he responds back. The fact that Shmuel needed to tell me that it says b'chalev imay in the mother's milk, that's excluding milk that comes from a male. It's a male milk that we excluded. Aval hai, this even the b'chaleim aser. Since it's going to become a mother, it's considered the mother's milk. It's considered a mother's milk. Okay, so from the fact that we had to do that, we had to say the zachar, that tells me that obviously this was included. Itmar. Statement of Amiraim, which usually is a machlekes Amiraim. Hamavashel chaylev chalav. Someone cooks chaylev with chalav. Chaylev is forbidden fat, which is prohibited to eat, and chalav is milk, which is kosher milk. Rabami v'Rabasi. It's machlekes between Rabbi and Rabasi. These are these two students here in the yeshiva of Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi and Rabasi. Rabbi Yochanan in the early Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael. They had a very chashuva bezdin. It says that their bezdin was very great. So chad amar leike, v'chad amar eina leike. One of them says that you get malchus for eating this mixture, and one of them says that you don't get malchus for eating this mixture. Now we're talking about that the person was warned, don't eat basar b'chalav, don't eat basar b'chalav. So the warning was for basar b'chalav. The question is this considered basar b'chalav? Because it's already prohibited before.
1 second, isn't there an isakaris on chaylev?
Yeah.
So how could you get malchus? It sounds like the guy purposely did it.
In addition.
Well, you have to be warned on it to get malchus.
For malchus,
to get
is
anything.
Bidei Shemayim. It's not something the
No,
base
cars.
meets out.
You mean cars additional?
Cars, yeah.
Now, tell me your question again.
How can you say that he gives loka when
He
chaylev
gets
is
malchus.
He gets malchus. But how can you say he's loka when chaylev is in the sakaris?
Okay, so he's going to get malchus for he's going to get malchus. 1 second, I don't want to mention the word cooking yet. I want to say for eating. So far, we'll get to the cooking. For eating, so because he was warned only for this, so he's going to get malchus only for this. I know you're going to ask me. This is a case of kamle b'dirabminei. This is an exact.
It was
case.
already in my mind.
Okay, I don't know more. I don't know the answer. It's a good point. It's a valid point. It could be a kamle b'dirabminei. How could we resolve this? You said that he doesn't know that it's chayla.
No, but it doesn't matter. It's not relevant because when a person does something and he's not warned, he still gets his punishment from Shemayim. A person intentionally does something wrong.
Yeah, but kares is b'mezid, right? Kares is b'mezid, and this is b'shogeg. He wasn't.
He knows it's
Maybe he knows chaylev.
Yeah, if he doesn't know it's chaylev,
No, he doesn't know that it's chaylev.
so then he thinks it's truma.
What's he getting warned on?
You're eating
What's the
basar
case
b'chalav.
Huh?
He's warned that it's basar b'chalav. Eating meat with milk. He doesn't know that it's chaylev. So,
No, but that's not the case in the Gemara.
I could say that. That's the case.
The Gemara is clear that it was fat.
Okay. Okay.
And
So there's a
also another
machlekes
issue that,
there.
I don't know if first one was asking this question, but the point is that sometimes when a person does something wrong and there's two punishments, he only gets the worst of the two
Yeah.
punishments.
Right. That's
That's
the
what I was.
standard. That's the common.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gemara says, Leima b'hakam miflagi. Let's say that the machlekes, if you get malchus, or you don't get malchus for eating it, is the mandamar like the one that says you get malchus kasaver yisachal alisser. Mandamar ina like a kasaver ina yisachal alisser. Very nice. It was prohibited before. Do you get malchus for the second prohibition that goes on it? One says yes, one says no. It doesn't say exactly who says what. If we would do this, we would say that Rabbi Ami says that you get malchus and Rabasi says that you don't get malchus, which means that Rabbi Ami holds that Yisr Chal Al Isser and Rabasi says Ein Yisr Chal Al Isser. Gemara says Loi. It's not necessarily the machlekes. The Kuli Alma, everyone says Ein Yisr Chal Al Isser. Everyone says that you don't say Yisr Chal Al Isser. In Achila, the Kuli Alma Loi Pligid Loi Laki. Everyone holds that you don't get malchus for eating it. Because eating it has two prohibitions on it. And he's only warned for basar b'chalav. He's not warned for chaylev. So the second prohibition of basar b'chalav doesn't go on this, because it's already prohibited for chaylev. Ki pliki. When do they argue? Abishal, on the cooking. Manda malaike, the one that says you get malchus. Chadi suruhu. There's only one prohibition on this. And that's the prohibition of basar b'chalav. So there's no problem. Even though I hold Ein Yisr Chal Al Isser, everyone holds Ein Yisr Chal Al Isser, but this was not prohibited ever before to cook. There's only one prohibition here to cook, and that's the original Isser. Umandam Reina Laika, he's got to explain himself. The one that says that you don't get malchus here, why not? You're cooking. He was warned, don't cook this. Why does the Torah say, instead of saying don't eat milk and meat, it says don't cook a kid in its mother's milk. Don't cook milk and meat. Why does it do that? Kivan da lachila laylaki, because for eating it you don't get malchus. So abishal nami laylaki, and it uses the term cooking to teach me eating, that you're not allowed to eat it, to tell me that if there is no eating, if there is no prohibition of eating it, there's also no prohibition of cooking it. You don't get malchus for cooking it. In other words, the cooking comes out of the prohibition of eating it, since the prohibition for eating it doesn't apply, because it was already prohibited to eat beforehand because it was forbidden fat. So therefore, the prohibition for cooking on it also doesn't apply. You can do it the opposite as well. I know that's what you think. Ikadamri.
Yeah, I don't really understand that logic.
So let's do it the next way, and then you'll see this one's easier.
So this is saying that chaylev is not considered meat.
Basically,
Right.
like
blood.
So all the other stuff details.
Right.
That's all.
So there was a list of bashal gidei, so it starts
Eines
with
achalas,
bishul,
right.
not with the eating.
Okay, let's look at the Ikadamri. You'll see. Ikadamri, abishal kuli amalei pligi delaki. Everyone holds that you get malchus for bishal. It was never prohibited before. It's the original prohibition. Ki pligi. When did they argue? Rabbi and Rabasi achila on the eating of it. Manda amarina like the one that holds that you don't get malchus. You don't get malchus. It was prohibited before to eat. Manda amarlaike, the one that says that you do get malchus. This is why the Torah says, instead of saying don't eat it, it says don't cook it, and it means to tell me don't eat it. It comes to tell me kivan da bishal lucky, since you get malchus for bishal, achila nami lucky. So therefore you get malchus for eating it as well. Now this is easier to understand, because here I'm taking this law that clearly is applied, which is don't cook milk and meat, it clearly applies to chaylev, and now I'm extending it back to where it wasn't necessarily applicable to don't eat it. But because it was applicable here, by the don't cooking, I can bring it back to the eating it. Okay. Biba Yasema, if you want, I can say this is the third answer that we, the third way of explaining it, similar to our last three, which Shmuel, Mara Marchada v'lei pligi. That one's talking about bishul, one's talking about achila, and there's no argument.
They're not even talking to each other.
Right. One says that you're not allowed to, you get malchus for cooking it. The other one says you don't get malchus for eating it. They're both saying the same thing. I've been to Dintairas where both parties are saying the same thing. They just never got a chance to really hash it out. And they would say, look, you agreed to this, and you agreed to this, so why are you here? And they say, oh, okay. Okay. Meisvei. Now, it's not exactly that simple, but there's you would agree that it's only $1,000, and you would agree that it's, okay, so, Okay, Meisvei. The Gemara has a question. Hamavashel b'meichalav. Someone cooks with whey, what's left over from the milk after you make cheese. Here it's called water of the milk, which is whey. So it's pater. Interesting, right?
Meaning it's not milk?
It's not milk and meat. It's not considered milk.
But it's still us. Pater, when we say pater, it's pater from us.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Taisus points that out. Taisus mentions that it is asur. Dam shebish lebechalav, but if you cook blood with milk, that's also pater. Dam is not. We mentioned before that blood is not considered meat. There was that the last Maram Shif. Last Maram Shif, if you have a big Gemara. The last Maram Shif mentions, based on this, that blood is not considered meat. So therefore, the liver is not considered fleshik. It's a big chiddush, and the poskim say chas v'shalom to rely on this maram shif, even with other tzirufim. It's the last piece of the hand. Okay. If you cook the bones, the sinews, the horns, the hoofs, together with milk.
It's not so outrageous. The
Well,
the udder itself, if you cook it with
the
milk.
milk.
inside,
There we say
it's
the
not
milk.
possible.
Yeah, there we say the milk is dam shchutas on the Yosem D'Rabbanan that we discussed. Here we're saying that because we're not saying that the udder is milchik. Here we're saying that the liver is blood.
Right, here we're seeing that's true. Yeah.
Okay. The next thing is hapigel. Here.
In other words, not that it's full of blood, but it is.
It is blood. That's one of his what the Maram Shif says is from the wife of Reb Nachman, where she said that the Torah prohibited blood. Everything that the Torah prohibits, it also permits.
Right.
And it prohibited blood, but it permitted the liver. Okay. I could
We could argue.
I could
We
argue.
could take the other side. Yeah.
Okay.
You
Now.
know what the snicker means? Person snickers, like they're smirking.
Uh-huh.
So Snickers is not kosher. Smirk bars are the exact same thing in kosher. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like the smirk bars,
Uh-huh.
Yisrael Snickers.
Uh-huh.
Good questions from.
Cute. Yeah, everything that's forbidden is
Yeah, it's called
permissible.
smirk
The
bars.
answer is
Smirk bar. That's from Pashtus.
I'm on 114, and I'm up to the words. It must be about 10 lines down. Hapigol va'anaiser va'atamish shebishlam b'cholav is chayiv. If you have sacrifices that had some issue with them, either because the kohen had the thoughts that he was going to sprinkle the blood the following day, or the meat was left over to the following day, or tameh, the meat became tameh, all of those are prohibited to eat. So they're prior prohibitions that are on this meat, and then you go ahead and you cook it with milk, which makes it, now you're adding a new prohibition, you're chayiv. Very, very clear that Isser Chalal Isser. We were saying before, according to certain opinions, that ain't Isser Chalal Isser. The Gemara says, Hay Tana Savar Isser Chalal Isser. What's your problem? It's a machlaikas. We know there's a machlaikas of Isser Chalal Isser. This Tana holds Isser Chalal Isser. We're not going to go through every single raya here. This is, we know that it's an old machlaikas.
But even so he won't be found to say, does that mean he would get punished twice? Or he would just get the worst of the two punishments?
So when you say Isser Chalal Isser, you could get the second prohibition. That's the possibility. Which could be, if it's more, then it would be more.
Right.
If you don't say Isser Chalal Isser, then you always get the first, and the second one isn't even prohibited. But yeah, it could be the worst.
Not that you get
Right.
punished twice, but you get stricter of the two punishments.
Right, probably.
Not on quorum.
Hamavashel b'meichalav pater. If someone cooks meat with whey, he's exempt. Messiah leil Rish Lakish. This is a proof to something that Rish Lakish said. The Tanan. There's taught in a Mishnah. We know that there's 7 liquids that could make a grain or a fruit susceptible to being tameh. Those liquids was, the abbreviation was Yad Shachad Dam, was yayin, wine, and honey, oil, shemen, chalav is milk, and tal with dew, and then blood, and water. Those are the liquids. So it says in the Mishnah that mei chalav harein kechalav. We said chalav is considered a liquid. Mei chalav is also a liquid. V'hameichal harei keshemen. And oil was also one of the liquids. Meichel, which is a gravy that comes out of the a juice that comes out of the olives. You think like you're going to squeeze olives, you're going to get oil. It's not so simple. You squeeze the olives, you get this juice. Then you have to get the oil out of that juice with the, what's it called? This Centrifuge. So you got to separate it.
You mean juice or Jews?
when you squeeze the shul, all the Jews come out. So Reish Lakish said, Leishanu ela lahachshir es hazraim. That brisa, or that Mishnah rather, that says that meichalav, that the whey is considered a liquid, and the meichal, the juice, is considered a liquid. That's only when it comes to making grain susceptible to tumah. Abalinyan bishal basar b'chalav. However, when it comes to milk and meat, meichalav einay kechalav. It's not like chalav. So this is a proof that brisa, that tosefta that we mentioned before, that meichalav, if you cook it with meat, is pater. That's a proof to what Reish Lakish said on the Mishnah and Machshirim about making food susceptible, that it's only regarding being susceptible to tumah, but not regarding milk and meat. Tana Rabbanan. Okay, here's a brisa. Usually I don't warn you if it's going to be difficult. I don't say anything. Okay, let's see how this goes.
You can see that.
Let's see how this goes. The Bais says, B'chalev imay. It quotes the pasuk. The pasuk says in its mother's milk. Eily ela b'chalev imay. I only know a kid, which is a goat, in its mother's milk. But what about b'chalev b'chalav parav v'rachel minayin? What if I get milk from another animal, from a cow? That's not a goat, or from a sheep. It's not a goat. I get milk from that. What about that? You're going to tell me, well, if zachar, milk from a male.
I'm not saying anything.
Okay. The Gemara says, well, amrit kal v'chaymer. You can say a kal v'chaymer. Ma imay shlei nesra imay bahar ba. Okay. You're allowed to mate two animals together that are from the same species, even if it's a child with the parent, as long as it's the same species. So I can mate a kid with a mother goat. Not a problem. However, Nesra imay bibishulay, but I'm not allowed to cook the kid in its mother's milk. I'm allowed to mate it together with its mother, but I can't cook it in its mother's milk. Parav v'rachel, a cow and a sheep, shenesra imay barba, that I can't mate them together. In a din shenesra imay bishul, is it not a kal v'chaymer that I can't cook them together in the milk? Okay, that's a kal v'chaymer. So Talmud Laimar, the pasuk says b'chalev imay, in its mother's milk. Now, what is the pasuk doing here? You just said that you had a kal v'chaymer, that you can't cook it. B'chalev imay. Usually, when you bring a kal v'chaymer like this, what you're doing is you're saying, I would say a kal v'chaymer that it's exempt. Comes along a pasuk that tells me no, it's not exempt. Here I have a kal v'chaymer that it's not exempt. Comes along the pasuk that it's not exempt. So